YouTube land, what's good? It's your boy Beard, aka Brian, aka Prince, aka Prince Vegeta Wealth of Hayden. If you don't know me, future FGC commentator here to recap Street Fighter League Pro US 2019 Episode 1 Draft Day. And also to give you my predictions about next week's episode and like the picks, the weekly pick 'em, if you will. Almost like a sports thing. Well, it is a league, so it makes sense. Also to recap the top 10 of the current CPT standings and April Annihilation. I'm not going to go too in-depth with April Annihilation. I'm just going to give you the top 8. And then I'm going to get into the Street Fighter League business. So without further ado, let's get into the April Annihilation. I think it was in New Jersey. Ranking event, so a whopping 200 points were on the line. And Lord Problem X, Mr. Benjamin, came all the way from the UK to come take first place. I think he was in losers. I think he made a comeback too. Took first place, 200 points. Terrence, it's bamboozled, mint, hoodwink, caught you off guard. It's robbery, it's a theft, it's crime, it's whatever word you want to use to describe it that he's not sponsored. Now, I don't know how he's branding himself. I don't know if he's streaming. I don't know if he's doing YouTube. I don't know what he's doing, but he needs to be sponsored. He's a great player, Chun-Li player at that. I think there's 3 in top 8, and he's in the Atlanta scene. Atlanta scene's huge. Everybody in Atlanta thinks he should be sponsored. Everybody on Twitter thinks he should be sponsored. Everybody in the U.S. should think he's sponsored. I would actually be shocked if Terrence is not in next year's Street Fighter League. I would be shocked. Speaking of which, let's keep going. Ludwig finished in 3rd. I think he was the other Chun-Li. Yep, he was the other Chun-Li. NuckleDu finished in 4th. El Chicote and K-Brad both got 5th, both respectively. Shout out to my boy, El Chicote, getting 5th. We got the bad 5th, though. The bad 5th is being on winner's side and then losing 2 straight in top 8. That's the bad 5th. No offense. Still my dog. Still my road dog. And Ricky Ortiz and Punk finished in 7th. And Punk, I think, was mainly rocking Colleen. They did have Karen in the title, but I think he rocked Colleen all the way to top 8. So if he's trying to test out more characters, the fact that you're still getting a top 8 with 1 character is just due to his testament of being that good of a player. And the current CPT standings are followed. Punk in 1st place, Tokido was 2nd, Momochi in 3rd, Problem X in 4th, Cien in 5th, Fujimura in 6th, Budo in 7th, Angry Bird in 8th, Johnny Tack in 9th, and Johnny, Momochi's student, in 10th, rounding out 10th place. I think Smug is 11th, and I want to say Terrence is 12th, if I'm not mistaken, just to give you 2 outside the top 10. But without further ado, let's get into the Street Fighter League. I love the idea. I was one of those people that loved that there was a league, loved that it was 3v3, and I love the fact that there's a band. And I think the band is going to show you the most dynamic aspect of it. Now, granted, like, you saw some people playing different characters and it didn't look that great playing the different characters. I don't think it looked terrible. I just think you can tell that the time is not put in there with the other characters versus the elite characters. Now, granted, if it's a main character, you're never going to have your main character as close to your secondary, unless you're like the top 3 captains, which actually I love the dynamic. I love the dynamic of the top 3 captains being NuckleDu, Punk, and Justin Wong, seating wise, are so versatile at this game where they can play a multitude of characters. And then I love that the bottom half of the top captains, or 4, 5, 6, if you will, are strictly main characters. So I love the fact that the band, I think, is going to add an interesting dynamic. And who knows, you might develop a secondary character. Because it's like, this is going to be a tournament setting, whether you believe it or not. The best way to practice a character in a tournament setting. The best way possible. So if I was in this and I could get a secondary character, confidence in the secondary character, I think that's the best experience. Granted, a couple $1,000 is some TV exposure, and you building your brand is cool too, but a secondary character goes a long way. But anyway, let's get into the draft. That's what this episode was, and I enjoyed it. And I actually liked that they had a scouting aspect of it. And I think the interesting thing about the scouting aspect of it is, so say I picked Shine and Brian F, which were obviously the first 2 picks. NuckleDu picked that. He got to scout it. So you could make the same person go up every chance you get. But if you make the same person go up every chance you get, you have to pick between that person and another person. So it made for an interesting dynamic, and I like that scouting aspect of it. That was very nice. I didn't expect to see that. Granted, I didn't expect to see like a sports draft where they come out with the jersey and the hat, but I love for video games, it was perfect. I just felt like there was a lot of breaks. If anything, if I had to be a gripe about the draft's way, there was a lot of breaks. But maybe another match before a break. That's just me. So anyway, let's get into it. Yeah, the first overall pick was Shine by NuckleDu. I think that was a good pick. You know, he's a Buki main. So that adds, I wouldn't say that adds an issue, but that could be a problem as far as counter picking goes and bans go. But the beauty of him picking a specialist is that NuckleDu's not a specialist. NuckleDu could play 3 characters to a T. Cammy, Guile, and Mika, so it balances out. And then the second overall pick by Justin Wong was Brian F, which is a great pick. Also, actually, I should bring this up before anything. I apologize for cutting it off between drafts. You had to pick a online warrior, which was between Up to Snuff, Just a Kid, Samurai, Rob TV, JB, and Cycle. And then you had to pick a crowd favorite. Like, you couldn't pick 2 online warriors or 2 crowd favorites. So, Shine and Brian F were crowd favorites. So that means that, well, NuckleDu had the last pick since it was a snake draft. So he got who was ever left. Whoever was left that he could take. And then, yeah, Justin Wong had to pick a online warrior for his next pick. Essentially, that's what it came down to. So, anyway, back into the picks. Punk was up next, and I really like his pick with JB. JB is a Rashid main, and he's a Rashid main to a T. But the fact that Punk could literally play the roster, like when I get into like the actual roster after I say the next pick, I'll tell you who I wrote down for like the teams you could expect for of like their characters. I just will question mark with Punk. It really depends on the day of who Punk could play and wants to play. Like Punk could play Rashid, he could play Colleen, Cammy, Karen. I've seen him play Ken at exceptional level. He's played Sagat at exceptional level. Granted, it's online. Online is definitely different than offline. But he could play confidently. And he showed these characters off. He's played Chun-Li in tournament before. Like, Punk could really play anyone. So, I think, strategy-wise, if I was a coach for one of these teams, I'm not taking out Punk. Punk is literally like the LeBron of this league or whatever. He gonna get his. He gonna get a triple-double. But as long as these other guys don't get anything, we're okay. That's how you have to play it, and that's your mentality in that. I mean, it has to be. Pick JB, I like that pick. Also, like I said, like the top 3 captains, I love the picks of kind of picking a specialist, and then they're being diverse. Now, these bottom as far as seeding of last year. So the NA rankings, so NuckleDu was first, Justin Wong was second, Punk was third, Idom was 4th, Toy was 5th, and 6th was Nephew. So I don't want it to be saying like they suck. I'm just saying bottom of the captains. Apologize. Anyway, Idom was next. Idom picked up Samurai, which I think is a good pick. Samurai, solid player, good fundamentals, just good at everything. He plays Akuma. Akuma's really strong. I don't think him picking up Samurai, I don't think hurts his team at all, because I don't think people are going to game plan around Samurai. I think they're going to almost like make Samurai beat him versus Idom. Because Idom even said in his like captain bio, yo man, I play Laura, that's it. Now, is that a white herring? Like, is he faking it for the TV? We'll have to see. I hope he has a backup, because I would game plan for Idom free every time. So we'll see. Next up was Toy. I think Toy, if anyone had to be an MVP of this episode, it was Toy. He showed his personality. He wears Saints jersey, so he's a Saints fan. He rocks sports. I became a Toy fan after watching this. I was able to watch it live, which was beautiful, because I actually had the Thursday off, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I don't think I'll be able to watch it live this Thursday, but when I catch it again, I'm a Toy fan. And it kind of worked out too, because he picked up my homeboy, El Chicote, and that's probably my best friend in the FGC if I had to pick one. So it worked out. Now, the dynamic of that team is, you know, Toy is a Bison main to the T, and El Chicote is a Mika main. Both characters are really good. But I definitely think you take out the captain, you take out the head, the body's going to fall. So I would game plan around Toy and his Bison. And to round up the first round of picks, Nephew picked Up to Snuff. Very solid pick. Up to Snuff is a Necalli player. Solid fundamentals, good player. And then the next pick, he got the next pick because of the snake draft format. So he was able to see more players, essentially, right away. And he picked Dual Kevin, and I like that pick because Dual Kevin is a Marvel player, and he showcased 2 characters in the scouting process, if you will. So Team Frost is Nephew, and in his team, he's a Colleen player. There's a Colleen, there's a G, there's a Rashid, and there's a Necalli. If I had to game plan around this team, I think you take out Nephew. I want to see what Nephew could play as. Not saying that these players are bad. They're obviously the captains for a reason, but I just want to see who else he could play. So I'm game planning around that. I want Nephew to beat me. If they're going to beat me, you got to, you know what I'm saying? It balances out the team too, because if you take out Wink Link, you might be able to get, I don't know how the format's going to be. So I don't know if it's just one match between each person or everybody plays everybody. And that might help you out if you take out the main person who only plays this character. You don't know how good that side character is. He might be the worst player on the team if you take out that main character, you know? So there's that dynamic. So about 4 characters roughly around. I think you game plan around the Colleen. This makes sense to me. Psycho was up next. He picked Just a Kid. I love the pick. Just a Kid is a jury player. I think one of the better juries out there in the world. I mean, obviously Infiltration is a good one, but he's not going to be a part of anything Capcom related this year due to this case and all that. So there's not a lot of great juries in the world, and a lot of people don't believe in her. So I think Just a Kid is going to really shock some people and play quite well, because I think he actually won one of the qualifiers to get in this too. So he was on his game. So I expect Just a Kid to shine. But like I said earlier, I think he game playing the Bison. So it's going to be Bison, Jury, and Mika. Game playing around the Bison. Now, if they have other characters and side characters, we're going to see. That's basically it. All I can say for this team. I think you game plan about on the Bison. So that was Team Psycho with Toy being the captain, and this Team Storm. Idom picked Classico. Classico is a Chicago-based Urian player. Great dude, great follow on Twitter. He always helping his community grow. I can't wait to see the Chicago scene in real life and help them. I mean, you know, I'm from Iowa, so it's like probably my neighbor, essentially, as far as a local goes, a big one. So yeah. And so he's a Urian player, like I said. I think Laura, Akuma, Urian is what you expect to see out of this team. Now, I think Samurai is a good player, and I think he understands how Shotos play. So I wouldn't be surprised to see. He did pull out Karen for the scout match, but also El Chakotay pulled out Dalsum, and I don't see him picking Dalsum again, and I don't see Samurai picking Karen. I think if anything, Samurai would pick another Shoto. I don't know how he feels about Kage, but I can see it. I can also, well, I don't know how he feels about Ken and Ryu, but I see him playing Shotos, if anything. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another Shoto out of Samurai. But that's what I see for that team. So like I said, game plan around Idom, Make, Classico, and Samurai beat you. Now, Inferno, Punk got Broly legs, but the only reason he got Broly legs, and not to say that he wouldn't have picked Broly legs already, is just because I think Broly legs was the last. He was the last crowd favorite, so he had to pick him by default. But I do like the fact that he picked him, and also because he picked JB, and JB was online, so therefore he had to pick him. Broly legs plays Chun-Li. Now, Punk can play Chun-Li, but if you nerf Broly legs and his Chun-Li, it's not the end of the world. So I think, well, it's not the end of the world for Punk, essentially. And I think Punk would be the hardest person to game plan against, because you never know who he's going to play, and it also depends on who he's playing. I mean, obviously, you think Karen by default, so you can not pick Karen, but if you want to, I guess. But then he'll have like a Cammy. He'll have like a Rashid if he wants to. It really, I guess, depends on the matchup and who he's playing. So, personally, I wouldn't take that risk of going for Karen. You could, I guess it depends on the team. It depends on the team. If you're confident on your team, and you're like, yo, if we take out Punk, I believe that you could beat JB and you could beat Broly legs. If you're confident in that way, I say go for it. But to be safe, I want to see what JB can do. So I'm basing this game plan around JB and nerfing Rashid. So that's Team Inferno for you. And then Justin Wong picked up Psycho. I think Psycho has a really good team. I think these two top teams are pretty good. Oh no, Spirit. I apologize. Yeah, he picked up Psycho, but it's Team Spirit. I think Team Spirit has a really good team. The only reason why I say that is because Justin Wong could play Monat, Karen, and then there's Nakabi, there's Balrog. I know Brian F dabbled a little bit with Abigail. Maybe we get to see it. Maybe he's played other characters. But I think you nerf Monat because Monat is just the problem child and an annoying matchup to deal with, especially given Justin Wong all that range, and Justin Wong plays the long game. So he's just going to hit that standing fierce and look you dead in the face and still shake your hand after that. I'm going to hit the standing fierce all day and I'm going to say GG's after. He'd be like, you son of a... So I think you nerf Justin Wong then. And then the last team, the last player was Rob TV. I think for this team, you nerf... Well, Rob TV showcased the Nakali, who he's played before. And this team has Guile, Mika, Cammy, Ibuki, Karen, Guile, and whoever else Shine picks. I think you might nerf the Guile. Because, well, I think you're locked into your selection, for one. So, dude can't pick Guile, especially if it's in a bad matchup. And Rob TV can't pick Guile. I think that's huge. But Rob TV also has a good Karen, and he plays Nakali. So, I would go for Guile, if anything. That's who I would nerf on this team. I don't know how well it would do, but I think that's the safest bet because I knocks two birds with one stone, just in case. So the prizes are 30K for the winning team. So obviously you're split in three ways. Second place gets 15K, and third place gets 6K. And then also the winner, it gets invited back for season 2. So that's super nice. So I hope they either do maybe 2 more teams, or they do, because I wouldn't want to see like only 5 teams because really like less players get invited. I think this made people toy fans. I think this is gonna make people. There's a lot of good players I think are gonna be able to get showcased, and you're gonna make more household names because I think the household names out of this are due Justin Wong and Punk, obviously. But I want to see more people become toy fans and Idom fans and Nephew fans. I would say Idom's a household name. I apologize for that. But I want to see other people like Brian F. I would say his household name Shine. But like JB should be one. Psycho should be one. Rob TV, Broly Legs, El Chicote, Samurai, Out to Snuff, Dual Kevin, Classical. All these guys should be household names after this. So the more the merrier. That's all I'm saying. Now for my week 2 predictions, even though I kind of went over it. You have Gale versus Spirit first game, and I think Gale is going to get the Guile nerf, and I think Spirit is going to get the Monat nerf, and in that matchup, I have it like I'm basing it off of everybody plays everybody, so I'm like, who can everybody beat? But if not that case, I still kind of feel this way about it, so I'm gonna let it rock. So I have Gale winning. That is Knuckle Dude's team over Justin Wong's team. And then in the second matchup, it's Inferno versus Frost. I think Inferno's going to receive the Rashid nerf, so I think JB's going to be nerfed. And I think Frost is Nephew's team, and I think Nephew's going to be nerfed with Colleen. And I have Inferno over Frost. And for the last matchup, no bias here, but I think Bison's going to get nerfed between Psycho and the Storm. I think Laura's going to get nerfed for Team Storm. So I have Psycho winning over Team Storm. So let me know how you have it as far as the predictions. Like I said, that's Gale versus Spirit, Inferno versus Frost, and Psycho versus Storm for week 2. I'm going to try to keep track and see how I do at the end of the year. There's the predictions, as an analyst, as a breakdown person, blah, blah, blah. I'm excited for it. Hopefully you are too. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Be sure to leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And like I said, leave your predictions, thoughts. Should I have gameplay instead of me just talking the whole time? Should I, let me know how I should do this. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.